right, welcome to episode numero uno of Life After Divorce, also known as LAD or LAD, however you want to refer to it. I'll probably call it all of the above at some point in time, but I am your host, Chris Parrott, and divorced father of two. I'll give you a little bit of background information about myself and why in the world I'm doing this. 38 years old as of the time that I'm starting this podcast or video podcast or show or whatever you want to call it. Live in Indiana, father of two. Like I said, I've got a boy and a girl, daughter, son and daughter, however you want to say that. By the way, I will not be editing these. These will be raw and uncut. So you'll see me fumble all over myself. You can make fun of me, whatever else you want to do. Work in the world of sales and consulting. Yet, I will tell you that what this show or podcast or whatever you want to call it, what this will not be is, number one, I will not be selling you anything. So you don't have to worry about my logo shirts or my background or whatever else. This is not an opportunity for me to make additional money off of selling you stuff. I don't have a book to sell you either. I don't have something else to sell you. This is completely a free, paying it forward thing for me. It's not a how-to workbook. It's not a 7-step plan. It's not anything like that. This is simply a 2020 version of the real world, I guess is the best way to explain it. Sharing my experiences of what it's like to live life after divorce, how to find joy and happiness, and raise your kids and do the best you can. That's basically what this is going to be about. You will get an unedited, unfiltered version of what I've learned in my life, especially post-divorce. And I'm someone that follows the Lord. Like I said, a father of two kids. I love my kids to death and would do anything for them. I work hard. And like I said, you're going to get my experiences and no BS outside of what you want to make fun of me for. So my hope in doing a show like this, or a video message, if you will, or podcast, is that you find comfort in what you're doing based on knowing that you're not the only one that's going through it, or not the only one that's dealing with or has dealt with or whatever else. You're not alone. You're not broken. You're just different. Your life isn't going as planned. Well, guess what? Most of the rest of us, our lives don't go as planned either. So you're not alone in that aspect. My hope is that you will return each week. Hopefully I'm going to do this on a weekly basis, and you get some form of knowledge or learning from the school of hard knocks that I've gone through in my life, and that because of whatever comes out of my mouth each week, that you live a happier, more joy-filled life going forward. So let's start with the why. Why in the hell am I doing this? Well, I've experienced a lot going through a divorce, and since my divorce was finalized just over 2 years ago now. And it started out, once I was going through the divorce, I was being reached out to from, coworkers, former coworkers, extended family, friends, acquaintances, that were going through the same things. And it became kind of a, how are you dealing with? How are you doing? What are you doing? And so I enjoyed being able to share that with people. It was a little therapeutic for me at the time, but I enjoyed helping people. And in 2019, I was reading a book talking about how to be the best in your profession. Whatever your profession is, how to be the best at it. And it was talking about kind of following your passion. And as long as you're breathing, in the United States of America, you can follow your passion. In this world of YouTube and TikTok and Google and everything else that's out there, you can learn how to do things. During COVID, I've had a coworker literally become a carpenter and remodel most of his house. I've learned how to smoke meat, something different that I hadn't done before. I'm sure you've got similar situations yourself. But early in 2020, I had I say early during COVID, back in about April, a former coworker of mine told me about, he was doing a podcast himself on local news and events. So I kind of floated the idea out there on, hey, what do you think about, I've got this idea of doing a divorce type podcast. And he's like, I think it's a great idea. I think you should do it. And I've given myself every excuse in the book since April to not do this. But yet I still want to help people. And so this is the format I'm now choosing to try to help folks with. So if you learn anything out of this, if you take anything away from this weekly show or decide to check it out each week, I appreciate it and hope you do. And that will make it worth everything right there. If you've ever seen this show, God Friended Me, if you haven't, look it up. But if you have, you know there's a character, the main character, his name is Miles, and he gets friend requests through a God account on Facebook. And he has to go help people and help them with a situation that they can't deal with on their own. And that's kind of been wheeling around in my brain as well. So here's the email address. Feel free, you can send me an email asking questions, sharing your experience, whatever is on your mind, and if I can help in any way, shape, or form, I will. I do not have a sociology degree, a physiology degree, a psychology degree, any of the ology degrees. I do not have any type of behavioral health background, so you are just getting an average Joe life experience from me. That's what I got. That's what I'm sharing with you. That's what I'm bringing to the table. So, like I said, this is going to be unedited. I've got a few notes and things that I want to make sure that I'm touching on. But the only other thing I will share with you this week is the brief story of why I got divorced. Hopefully that'll be enough to get you to come back next week and learn more. Over the last year of the marriage that I was in, it deteriorated, wasn't going well. We were barely roommates, and it wasn't anything that I felt like was, life-altering, that was worth ending the marriage on. I knew we were in a rough spot, but, we were going to keep working at it, and we're going to get through this. And came home one day and was served with divorce papers. I will say I don't recommend doing that. Try to work things out before you get to that stage. But nonetheless, served divorce papers, and I thought, life as I knew it was over, which it was, but that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. And so I'm going to tell you that as long as you're breathing, back to the follow your passion piece a few minutes ago, as long as you're breathing, you're still living. So be there for your kids, be there for yourself, be there for your family members, because you are still going to live past divorce. Yes, my life didn't continue the way that it was going, and my life didn't continue with the path that I thought it was supposed to be on. But that's kind of how it works. We're not, the Lord has a game plan for us. We just don't get the game plan in advance. So just because we think this is how my life should be doesn't mean that's reality. So that being said, I'm going to leave you on that note for this week. We'll get into more of this later on, but a couple of takeaways from today. Number one, you're not broken. You're not dead. Divorce does not mean dead. You are going to be fine. I can tell you 2 years down the road, if I could have written myself a note or given myself this video message back whenever I learned I was going to go through a divorce, and I could see myself now back then, I'd be like, he's going to be all right. He going to be good. But again, like I just mentioned, the plan that we think we're supposed to have and the lifestyle we're supposed to have and everything else that we are supposed to have that we think we're supposed to have is not always the way it works out. So be willing to be flexible, because it's not always going to go your way. Believe it or not, the world does not revolve around us. And the third thing is that I hope you ultimately just take something out of this message. Again, whether it's my humor, it's the way I talk, it's the redneck shenanigans that come out of my mouth, whatever it is, I hope you take something away from this message and come back and join me for the next podcast. I'm still getting used to this, so I will continue to evolve, hopefully continue to get better at doing this and delivering this to you on a weekly basis. My goal is 10 minutes or less, and we'll see where this goes from here. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.